center has this building in the center has our dining hall, kind of where you see these little pillar gaps, as well as administrative offices. So the Office of Academic Advising, the class office that helps with the student accommodations, the counseling office, as well as our study abroad office. And then these other buildings on the upper quad that the mouse is hovering over, those are our upperclassmen, so sophomore, junior, senior residence halls, as are these up here on the north side of campus. Of course, here is our centerpiece, Waite Chapel. If you're really interested in the arts, this is the Scale Fine Arts Center, where we have different galleries and auditoriums. Athletics are pretty big for students. Here is our Sutton Health Facilities and Recreation Center. But I just wanted to quickly explain this map in case students were curious. Wake Forest is a pretty accessible university. Going from, Waite Chapel to the south end of campus is about a 15-minute walk. So yes, the map might look big, but everything, like I said, is pretty accessible going from place to place. But just some quick tidbits about Wake Forest. We are a mid-sized liberal arts university, so 5,400 total undergraduate students and about 9,000 with our graduates. So within North Carolina, which is the state where we're located in, we do experience all 4 seasons. So summer, spring, winter, and fall. So we do get to see, those different climates. Winter typically ranges around the 40s to 50s, and summers get to be about 80s and 90s. But thinking a little bit more about more information about Wake Forest, I did say we're about 5,400 undergrads. Our student population does represent 48 different states and over 50 different countries. We do have a student body that is 33% domestically diverse and 11% international. So sort of that international and national representation on our mid-sized campus. Thinking a little bit more about where we're located in North Carolina, we are about 2 hours away from the Blue Ridge Parkway that's outlined in orange, and about 3.5 to 4 hours from the East Coast. So if you're a beach person, if you're a mountain person, we do have the best of both offerings. We are located in Winston-Salem, which is the city of arts and innovation. So Winston-Salem is not as large as the Houston area. We do have a population of about 250,000 people. But we find a lot of our students do get engaged, not just within the different activities on our main campus, but they also love exploring the city that they're in, whether that's visiting any of our fun restaurants, whether that's going to any of the concerts or local hiking places or canoeing places that we have. Winston-Salem does continue to offer those different outlets and experiences for all students. If you're specifically interested in engineering, our Wake Downtown facility does house engineering, biomedical sciences, as well as our regenerative medicine programs. It also offers and houses the first 2 years of our medical school for students who are interested in the medical field. This downtown facility is about a 15-minute shuttle ride from the main campus that I showed you at the beginning. But like I said, we do provide shuttles to all of those, to this facility. Thinking a little bit about the classroom, so we do offer 52 majors to choose from. Some of our popular programs do include anything within business, anything pre-health or pre-law. If you're interested in marketing, students typically focus in on communication as a major communication, as well as a major in psychology. So those tend to be our most popular areas. But our average class size is about 20 students. So, you can't hide within the classroom setting. Our professors do know about you. They do want you to succeed, not just in the classroom, but also they want to see you get involved and thrive outside of the classroom. as a liberal arts school, you do see the two basic sort of books on your screen. So the basics and the divisionals, those are all taught, all requirements students will complete within their 4 years. So the divisionals do make up our liberal arts curriculum. So if you take the fine arts divisional, for instance, within the fine arts, you might take a theater class or a dance class or a photography or a tile making class to fulfill that divisional, and that'll fulfill your fine arts requirements. So even though these are big umbrella terms for the divisionals, you do kind of get some ownership and decide what that liberal arts curriculum looks like for you. But we, of course, do have other basic requirements that we ask all students to complete. So as part of our curriculum, students don't declare a major until their 4th semester. So they do really have the time to sort of figure out what they want to choose and study and major in. About 80% of our students have a double major as well as a minor or 2 minors. So if you have different interests or passions, please know that that's something that we definitely offer to all of our students. If you know that you want to go into a graduate school, so whether that's law school or pre-med that I mentioned before, or if you want to pursue any other graduate programs like in philosophy or history, know that research is something that a lot of schools are going to add, a lot of graduate programs are going to ask you to have experience in. And we do offer research opportunities to all of our students. So starting your 1st semester, if you want to do research, definitely take advantage of the opportunity. About 60% of our students do end up doing some form of research, whether that's in Winston-Salem or whether that's somewhere internationally. A little fun statistics that I love to share with students is 97% of our students within 6 months of graduating are in a job field or are in a graduate program. So regardless of what you choose to study, you know, you will be well prepared for your next steps after college. So rest assured that our Career Service Office does a great job of helping students find internships and connect with different alum groups to make sure that they're all set for when they leave us. Thinking a little bit about ways to interact with Wake Forest outside of Winston-Salem, our Wake Washington program is a great opportunity. So it does give students that hands-on internship experience for a semester in Washington, D.C. We do provide housing for students, so they have that fun opportunity to engage in that internship during the day. And in the evening, they take classes with the professor that went along this program with them. So past internship experiences have been in a politician's office, in a natural or science history museum, within education policy offices. So truly, this is a really great experience to gain that gain those pre-professional skills. But this does bring me to study abroad. So studying abroad is such a great opportunity, regardless of whether you attend Wake Forest or not, right? So we'd love for students on our campus to study abroad. About 75% of our students do study abroad at least once a semester. We have partnerships with over 400 programs in 70 different countries. So truly, truly, truly find a place where you want to study abroad, where you want to study abroad, and go that route. These pictures of the houses we have here in Venice, London, and Vienna are the 3 houses that we own as a university. So a group of about 15 students goes with one of our professors to study abroad in these houses. So what typically happens is our students are living in the upper level floors, and they are sharing common spaces on the first floor, and then the professor lives with their family on the bottom level floor. So great opportunity to study abroad, regardless of what academic major you might have in mind. The only downside to study abroad is you do have to come back to campus, but fear not, because we do have great residential living communities. So we do ask all students to live on our campus for 6 semesters. And if you choose, come your senior year, if you choose to live on campus, you are guaranteed housing. And we find that about half of the seniors actually choose to live on versus off campus. So just some fun things to keep in mind, that we do, like I said, require 6 semesters of living on campus. All of our residence halls within the all of our residence halls have been renovated in the past 10 years. So they all are really brand new and updated with fun technology. So residential living is a fun piece, as is our Pro Humanitate motto. So this is probably a defining factor for us, right? Because Pro Humanitate isn't just our school motto that we have on the seal or something that we don't think about often, but it is definitely something that is integral and part of the student experience. So much so that our 3 largest campus events do revolve around giving back, around community service, and service learning opportunities. So here on the right-hand side, you do have Wake and Shake and Hit the Bricks. Both of those events raise awareness and raise funds for cancer research. Campus Garden is another fun event that we have our students grow and harvest crops that they then donate to the local food bank. So truly it is, like I said, a very, very integral part of our 4-year student experience. But if you're finding and you're wondering, well, what are other great avenues to, explore? We do have over 250 different student organizations. So more than just service learning and volunteer work. We have different religious and cultural affinity groups. We have intramural club sports. So whether you're interested in rowing or flag football or co-ed kickball, we also have if you're into writing, we have the Old Gold and Black, that is our student-run newspaper. If you are interested in comedy or theater, we have different ways to explore that through our comedy group. So truly, you have these new different avenues to explore those different passions that you have. I myself, for instance, when I was a student at Wake, I was a residential hall advisor. So I helped with programming within the residence halls. I was part of Catholic community. So I was actively engaged with the Catholic community on our campus. I was also a member of OLAS, which is the Organization of Latinx Students. And I also had my own radio broadcasting show on Wake Radio. So I got to broadcast my own show every week. But these are just some fun examples of what engagement might look like. But like I said, we also have different other clubs for students to get involved with. I did mention that Winston-Salem is the city of arts and innovation, and the arts are truly pretty big for us on our main campus as well. So every 3 days, we do have a theater production or a gallery demonstration or a choir or a cappella performance. So you truly do get to sort of explore those areas of interest that you might have now, or truly try something brand new and different. So definitely take advantage of the arts without having to major or minor of them. You can if you'd like to, but truly audition for these different art events if you'd like. They're such a fun way to get involved on campus. And of course, another fun way to get involved is athletics and sports. So Wake Forest, we are proud to be Demon Deacons. We are a founding member of the ACC, and we love going out and supporting all of our athletic teams. If you want to know, we are a D1 athletic school. We have men's and women's teams within 16 different representations. So athletics are pretty big for us. I did mention that accessibility is something that's pretty big for us. So not just going from class to class, or accessibility to class to professors because our classes are small, but also within athletics. So all of our students do get admission to every single athletic event that you want to go to. So it is such a fun way to show school spirit, to go support your student athletes on the courts or on the fields. But that is essentially Wake Forest in a super quick nutshell, both academically and socially. I know we are just juniors, but Gabriella, I'd be happy to continue talking about applying to Wake Forest, but I'd also be happy to sort of pause here in case any students typed anything into the chat, or if they wanted to raise their hand if they had something to ask.
Definitely. Does anyone have any questions about Wake Forest? Now's the time to ask. As we know, networking is important. This is a resource for you all, an important one. Does anyone have any questions? You can put in the chat. You can unmute yourself.
Yes.
You're a little shy today.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't have to be about Wake Forest. It could be just about the application process, or what does it mean to be a liberal arts school? What does it mean to be a selective school? What does it mean to, what does financial aid out of state look like? Just any questions in general that you all might have, I'd be happy to answer those as well.
So someone in the chat asked, how much is the cost if you're not from that state, if you want to apply for that college? So I'm guessing how much is the out of state?
Yes, so let me pull up this quick slide. So Wake Forest University, because we're a mid-sized private school, our in cost versus out of cost is the same. So being from Texas, you pay the same as if you were from North Carolina. So thinking about financial aid and being able to afford the cost of a higher education, Wake Forest is 100% demonstrated need. So we will meet that full cost of attendance through grants, scholarships, working on campus, or one student loan. So if you're considering applying to Wake Forest, but you kind of want to get an estimate of what a financial aid package might look like, definitely scan this QR code. Let me make this bigger. Scan the QR code and it will take you to a net price calculator. So every college has a net price calculator, and if you input your family's financial information, it will give you an output of what your financial aid package, what scholarships might look like for you. I'd be happy to talk a little bit more about FAFSA and CSS profile, but those are just some key pieces to take away for not just Wake Forest, but colleges in general, right? So if you're thinking about college and universities and how to pay for colleges, I always recommend students to look into colleges that meet 100% of demonstrated need, right? Because if you meet a college, if you get accepted, or if you attend a college that is demonstrated need, they will meet that full cost of attendance, just depending on what your family's financial situation is looking like. Just a little quick example. I know we probably have more questions, but for instance, when I was an undergraduate student at Wake Forest, the annual cost of attendance was $60,000 every year, and that my family could not afford that money every year. So I applied for financial aid at Wake Forest, and by the time I eventually graduated, I left Wake Forest with they paid for everything, and the only thing I took out was a $5,000 credit card loan to help me pay for the things that I wanted. I didn't need them, but I of course wanted them. So definitely look at 100% demonstrated need schools, because that'll probably, sometimes it's cheaper to go out of state at demonstrated need schools than it is to stay in state for non-demonstrated need schools. So definitely a quick plug-in for any university that is 100% demonstrated need.
Thank you. I like how you mentioned earlier the difference between a liberal arts college and a non-liberal arts college. Do you mind explaining the differences?
Yes. So, um, what we're finding more and more is when students are applying to colleges, right? There's this like, what does it mean to be liberal arts versus non-liberal arts? So for us, what that means is before you declare a major, let me go back a little bit. So before students declare a major, they're going to be taking classes in a variety of different areas, right? So for us, that's humanities, literature, arts, sciences, social sciences, before you declare that major. So you might come into Wake Forest thinking, I want to study history, and that's fine, you can do that. But just know that you're going to be taking a variety of different classes. These are the classes that make up our liberal arts curriculum. Non-liberal arts schools typically are schools that you apply directly into a specific program. So for instance, if you know that you are really dead set on doing engineering, or you're really dead set on doing business, non-liberal arts schools might just say, okay, you're going to start taking those classes, those engineering, those business classes, and you're not going to need to take these liberal arts classes. So truly, it's a personal choice in terms of whether you want to go liberal arts or not. I always recommend students, I love the liberal arts curriculum mainly because, as an 18-year-old, I'm not going to be able to really truly define what my professional career is if I don't know what's out there. But for students who do, that's great. Then maybe non-liberal arts is the way to go. But if you're really unsure, or if you like, exploring different areas and you're open-minded and you want to delve into different topics, then that's sort of what the liberal arts education provides.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions? Any more questions?
Yes.
Yes. On the other slide that you were, it showed like the QR code, and it said something about, this is the date where first generation students should apply. Yeah, that one.
Mhm.
Would you say, I don't want to say, do you guys have a certain, not interest, but a certain yeah, I guess I'm gonna say interest for first generation students? Like, is that something you guys are like looking forward to in the campus, or
Yeah.
how?
Yeah, like what are the support resource for first gen students, and
Uh-huh.
what might the first gen experience look like?
Yes.
Yeah, so we at Wake Forest do love our first generation college students, mainly because, we've always, like I've mentioned before, we've always tried to be a university that is accessible through everybody, right? So it's not just the small class sizes, it's not just within athletics, but we are completely standardized test optional. So if you submit those, great. If you don't submit those, you're not penalized at all. We increase accessibility, by being 100% demonstrated need. So we do um, we do value first generation students because they do bring such unique perspectives, such unique experiences, right? Like there have been adverse or difficult situations that you have that had to experience as a first gen students that maybe some other that non-first generation college students didn't have to experience, right? And we're always mindful of what those differences are, and how can we continue supporting first generation college students and sort of leveling the playing field in terms of accessibility to great resources on our campus. So we are committed. We do value first generation college students, and one of our main support resources for first generation college students is our First in the Forest programming. So our First in the Forest office does offer not just scholarships for first generation college students only, but they also offer mentorship opportunities with the director of the First in the Forest program. So you'll have direct mentorship from him and other colleagues in the first generation First in the Forest office. They also work very collaboratively with the Intercultural Center. They work very collaboratively with our study abroad. So, for instance, when I was looking to study abroad, they helped connect me with the study abroad office, and the study abroad office eventually like paid for everything for me to apply to for my passport because I didn't have that. So they work collaboratively with the study abroad office. They work collaboratively with our career services office. So in terms of, I believe it was this past, usually in the summer, they take a group of about 20 students to DC just to get professional experience and to network with different organizations and helping students, write cover letters and write resumes and stuff like that. So they not only provide sort of additional mentorship, but they also help provide additional opportunities to get students to familiarize themselves with the different resources on our campus. So that is sort of our main resource for first generation college students. We also have our Intercultural Center that supports all diverse students, regardless of what background they come from. We have our chaplain's office that supports religious and spiritual diversity. But there are a variety of different ways for students to get connected and to get involved. Something I do want to go back and sort of mention about first generation college students is there it is, applying to Wake Forest. So we are offering only to first generation college students early action. So it might be a little early for me to mention this to everybody, but just something to keep in mind, right? So early decision are binding processes. So if you apply to a university early decision, that means you will enroll into that university. But early action is you aren't committing yourself to university, but you do find out your decision earlier in, I believe, January. Normally, students don't hear back until March, but for us, we're offering the early action that doesn't require you to make a commitment, but you do hear back sooner from us. So that's an opportunity that we're going to continue having for students, specifically for first generation college students, because like I said, we want to continue supporting and increasing accessibility to all diverse students on our campus. So I know that was a very, very long response to your question, but I hope that answered it.
No, thank you. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have time for one more question? We have one more question in the chat. I know you have a time issue.
Yes, I do. Actually, my event got canceled, so I can keep on talking if y'all need me to. Or if you have an agenda, we can end after this one question, but truly whatever works.
So one student, they asked about the ACT test and the scoring, but you mentioned that you all were test optional, right?
That is correct. So yes. So we are standardized test optional. We've been test optional since 2008, so way before COVID. We don't intend on changing that policy. So when we say test optional, we really do mean test optional. About 59% of students last year submitted their test scores to be considered. So it's a little bit halfway of whether you want to submit those or not. But if you do submit those, we do consider them. If you do not submit those, we don't penalize you. We continue reviewing holistically every application that we receive.
What recommended GPA would you recommend?
Yes, so that's always a tricky question to sort of answer. And I only say that because, when we're evaluating these applications holistically, it's important to keep in mind, right, that every college, or not every college, every high school has a different curriculum. So what you might have at one school, that's very different from what you have at another school, whether that's AP, whether that's IB, whether that's advanced or honors or what have you, right? Whether that's, that always just depends on each high school curriculum. So we don't standardize, we don't recalculate GPAs. We always look at applications at the context of the school and what that school's curriculum is. How are students challenging themselves? What curriculum is offered? How are they challenging themselves? And how are they doing in those classes, right? You can be taking 10 AP classes, but if your grades in those AP classes aren't the best, then that's sort of an indicator of what's going on. But I can't, that's why I really can't answer that GPA minimum question, because we always look into what the school's offering is and how students are challenging themselves and what their performance in the classes are.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or put them in the chat.
Yes. Any others?
Wait, what type of careers do you offer?
What type of careers?
Yes.
Okay. So that truly depends on what career path our students want to take. So because I mentioned that business is pretty popular for us, a lot of our students go into like big accounting firms, students who complete the pre-law track, they go into graduate programs so that eventually, so that they're eventually lawyers. Some of our students choose to go into like Teach for America or go into the Peace Corps. Other students want to start their career, so they go immediately into an organization. So that might be like an accounting organization, that might be in sort of an HR role within a specific organization, that might be working as a sort of data analytics, that might be, if you're into history or anthropology, that might be working within museums and museum studies. So it's a really tough question to answer, because every student sort of, with the support of career services, every student does sort of figure out what the best professional path for them might be.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. That's also a tricky question. Just it always depends on where students want to go, and what organization. Do they want to go like in a company, or do they want to go nonprofit? So I hope that kind of helped.
It did.
Yeah, awesome. Any other?
Okay, if there are no other questions, please everyone give a round of applause and blast the chat with thank yous for our amazing Mrs. Perez Vicente. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for speaking with our students and telling them about the amazing work that Wake Forest University is doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for having me. If anything comes up, like I said, there is my email contact information. I'm the Texas representative, so feel free to keep in touch if anything